Okay, so this is going to be, we're going to start just with 30, 60, 90 triangles. Okay, so you don't even have to worry about 45, 45, 90 triangles. Okay. Now, what I was going to say was this top part that's highlighted in yellow never changes from problem to problem. You're always going to use it. That's why I call it the blueprint, because this is what you always start with before you do the problem. Okay, just like a blueprint in a factory is what you always start with before you make the product. Okay, this is the triangle on top that you always start with before you complete the problem. Okay, so I should use the word complete. Okay, so in the factory, the blueprint is what you use, the starting point you use to start completing the product. Okay, this triangle is a blueprint that you use to start to complete the problem. Okay, so always start with this. Now, this is kind of like a linking game. Okay, so let's look at the x's. Okay, let's start with the x's. All right. Now, the 6, okay, what does the 6 link up with? Okay, does the 6 link up with the 1, 2, or root 3? Okay, and by the way, I should take this 90 out and use the box. Okay, the box means 90 degrees. Okay, now you can visually just see that 6 links up with the 2. You can visually just see that. Okay. However, if you want a sure shot way of knowing which one links up with what, the 6 is across from the 90, and so is the 2. Okay, the 6 is across the 90, and so is the 2. Okay, I'll do that in green. 6 is across the 90, and so is the 2. Okay, now what does the x link up with? Okay, the x links up with the 1, or you can say the x lines up with the 1, or x matches to the 1, or the x relates to the 1 right here. Okay, the x relates to the 1. Okay, and a sure shot way of knowing that is, again, the x is across from the 30. Okay, and so is the 1. Okay. All right, maybe I should even use highlights. Okay, the x is across from the 30, and so is the 1 right there. Okay? Now, believe it or not, that's the hardest part. Everything else is just review. Okay? So I'm just going to follow the arrows. 6 over 2, okay, 6 over 2 is equal to x over 1. Okay? You can totally write it as x over 1 equals to 2, x over 1 equals to 6 over 2 also. Okay? You can even write it as going from top to bottom if you want. You can go 2 over 6 equals to 1 over x. Okay? You can basically write it, look, you can write it like this. Put the arrowheads here. Okay? And go like that. 2 to 6 x1. But what you can't do is switch only one of them and do this. You see how now one arrowhead is pointing up and the other one is pointing down? You cannot do that. Okay, in this case, if you follow the arrows, you would write 2 over 6 equals to x over 1, and you cannot do that. Okay, because the arrowheads have to face the same direction. The way I originally did it was that they both faced the top. Okay, so I did it like this. All right. Now, and let's do the same thing for the y's before we solve it. So we're not done with the x's. We just have to solve it. That's our review. But I just want to show you the new part. Now, what does now again, we know the 6 links up with the 2. What does the y link up with? Okay. The y links up with the, okay, or the y relates to the, okay, the y relates to the 3. The root 3, I should say. Okay. And again, you can think of it as the y is across from the 60, just like the root 3 is across from the 60. Okay, you can think of it like that. All right, so I'm just going to follow the arrows. That's the hardest part now. And we just follow the arrows. 6 over 2. 6 over 2 is equal to y over root 3. Okay. Now again, you can write these different variations. You can also write, if you want, y over root 3 equals to 6 over 2. Or you can go from bottom to top, or from top to bottom. Okay, put the arrowheads from the top to bottom. 2, you can write it like this. You can write the arrowheads like this. Okay, and then you would get 2 to 6 is equal to root 3 to y. Okay, so either way works, but you cannot have, like I said earlier, you cannot have one arrowhead going up and one arrowhead going down. Okay, you cannot have it like this. And then if you were to follow those arrows, you would get 2 over 6 equals to y over root 3, and you can't do that. Okay, so either both arrowheads, like I said earlier, have to be facing up, or both have to be facing down. Boom. And we had a 6 here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and solve it. Okay, here's the part that's review. Okay, here's the part that's review. So I'm going to draw a dividing line here. And I'm going to draw a dividing line here. And let's go ahead and solve it. I'm going to cross multiply. Cross multiply. For the blues, okay, you get 6 times 1 equals to 2 times x. And then you divide both sides by 2. Okay, and you get x equals to 3. Okay, here you get 6 root 3. 6 times root 3 equals to 2 times y. Okay, And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And then you get 3 root 3 equals to y. So your answers are here. Boom, boom. Okay? That's that problem. Okay, I took a little longer on that problem because I want to explain every detail. But on the next example, I'm going to move a little bit faster. Okay. All right. So here's the next problem here. Again, I'm going to move a little bit faster on this one. Okay. Whoops. Boom, boom. Okay. The y, okay, y relates to the 2. Okay, again, the y is across from the 90 degrees. Let me use the 90 degrees here. Okay, I'm actually going to keep it just as 90 degrees, okay? Because you should know that the box and 90 degrees mean exactly the same thing. Okay. The y is across in the 18, just like the 2. I don't even know what sorry, I'm tripping out. The y is across in the 90, just like the 2 is across in the 90. So that's why the y relates to the 2. Okay. Also, now the 18 relates to the root 3 because 18 is across from the 60, just like root 3 is across from the 60. Okay? All right, so that's my y links right there. So now I'm going to follow the arrows. Y over 2 equals 18 over root 3. Let's do the x's now. The x relates to the 1. Let me try to draw that arrow a little bit better. The x relates to the 1, and then we can reuse the 18 relates to the root 3. Okay, so x relates to the 1, and the 18 relates to the root 3. Okay, now, again, why does the x relate to the 1? Because x is across from 30, just like 1 is across from the 30. Okay. Now, we just cross multiply now. That's the hardest part. That's the new part. Everything else is old. Okay. Now I'm going to get y times root 3 equals to 18 times 2. Okay, let me create a little bit more room there. All right. And then over here, same deal, x times root 3. Let me just finish the y's first. Okay, and then, so we're going to get y. We're going to divide both sides by root 3, okay, to get y by itself. So now I get y equals to 36 over root 3. And remember, these cancel. And so I'm going to multiply. Remember, we cannot, I don't know, I taught you this in November, is that you cannot have a root on the bottom. We're going to simplify it. So we're going to multiply it by root 3 and root 3. If this said 5, then you multiply by root 5, everything by root 5. Okay, but it's just 3. Okay? So now we are going to get y equals to 36 root 3 over root 3 times root 3 is basically root 9, and root 9 is basically 3. Okay, so root 3 times root 3 is root 9, and remember, root 9 is 3. Okay, the square root of 9 is 3. And lastly, reduce the fraction. 36 divided by 3 is 18, and then you're done with the y's. Y is equal to 18 root 3. Okay. All right. Same deal here. X times root 3 is equal to 18. I'm going to divide both sides. And then I get x equals to 18 over root 3. Multiply, remember, we don't want a root 3 on the bottom. Okay, so now I get x equals to 18 root 3 over 3. 18 divided by 3 is 6. X equals to 6 root 3. Okay? And those are your examples right there. Okay? Cool. I want you guys to do the next problems here. Hang on.